Border, a real or imaginary line separating one state from another. Behind every border, a town is born. In Latin America, there are almost 18,000 border towns. The exponential growth of these towns is due to trade, be it legal or illegal. However, in most cases, it's linked to illicit economies. Contraband, narcotics, weapons, and people. In each of these border towns, there are thousands of stories of people putting their capital at risk. And there are those who are hired by criminal organizations to join a large-scale smuggling network. These are the Latin American hot borders. The Chile-Peru border. Chacayuta Border Complex. Due to the intense trade between the two countries, thousands of people travel across this border every day. This keeps Chile's civilian police very busy on any given day. Beyond the area that is lit up by the complex lies an immense, dark desert that some smugglers and illegal immigrants dare risk crossing. They do not realize that, in fact, there is a team keeping watch over the area. The authorities have thermographic night vision cameras that allow them to detect the presence of people in the desert. And right now, they have just detected 3 individuals traveling across an unauthorized area. And so the police launch an operation to intercept and detain the 3 suspects.
Están los trenes, se tiraron al suelo, seguramente tienen que haber visto la camioneta.
Ya están escondidos por acá.
Ubícate donde está esa caseta que tú dijiste antes de los militares que tiene como una cañería.
Ya, voy para la casa. ¿Hacia la línea del tren? Hacia la línea del tren, ya.
The police officer patrols the desert, guided by his partner who is monitoring the movements of the 3 strangers from the office.
Aquí voy llegando a la casa de los militares.
Avanza nomás, están hacia el sur, tiraron al suelo los 3. Hacia el sur, sigue caminando, yo te veo en la cámara. Como unos 100 metros más, están acá todavía, están en el suelo. Uno va arrancando, va regresando hacia Arica, va corriendo. Y los otros 2 se quedaron en el suelo.
The officer cannot see. The tension mounts. He has to act fast before the suspects run away. Colombia. Medellín. José María Córdoba International Airport. Medellin's airport is widely recognized as the 2nd most important in the country. It also happens to be one of the most contentious borders in all of Colombia. The police work tirelessly to control the passengers entering and exiting the city. Every day they inspect some 20,000 people and more than 30,000 suitcases. Just as a national flight with final destination in Bogotá is about to board, customs agents are intrigued by one of the passengers going through the carry-on luggage security checkpoint, so they decide to call the airport police and ask them to intervene. The police are very surprised to find that the woman in question is a nun, and their curiosity is piqued when they find out the reasons for the customs agent's suspicions.
Es producto de la recolección de donaciones que nos vamos recolectando. Es como el producto de poquitos que van dando porque nosotros trabajamos con niñas desplazadas. Tenemos internados.
When they open her bags, they find 2 packages wrapped in tin foil containing a large sum of money in cash, which is no doubt highly conspicuous as far as the authorities are concerned. This trick is used in vain by people trying to get past the security check undetected.
¿Qué persona le entregó usted este dinero?
Es que se van juntando de a poco el
¿Quién le entregó usted?
A esto son personas donantes que nos van dando el dinero, lo vamos cambiando a dólares para que es una forma de ahorro, ¿no?
¿Usted lo envían a dónde?
No, aquí lo repartimos en Bogotá, Barranquilla y Medellín, que es donde tenemos en los hogares, pues, ¿no?
The officers try to avoid reaching hasty conclusions without proof, but the sister's nervousness when responding to simple questions and the way in which she was hiding the money alarms them, and they cannot let her go without investigating.
Mañana la DIAN que lo reporten, que lo declaren y que el SECOAN autoricen el viaje.
The officers try to play for time by checking the woman's background in order to determine whether she really is a nun carrying donations or if there is something else going on. The Chile-Peru border. Chacayuta Border Complex. The area surrounding the Chacayuta complex on the border with Peru. Thanks to the use of thermographic night vision cameras, the police have managed to detect 3 men who were trying to get across the border illegally. When the men noticed the police were there, they ran away and hid in the darkness of the desert.
Dice el jefe que están cerca tuyo.
No los tengo.
Finally, the officers managed to intercept the men.
¿De dónde son ustedes? De Buenaventura. De Buenaventura. Colombianos. ¿Y por qué van saliendo en forma ilegal? Porque no podemos salir legalmente tampoco. ¿Cuántas veces hemos querido que nos saquen y no nos sacan? ¿Que los deporten? Sí. ¿Por qué? Porque estamos más de situación acá, pues. Mucho pasamos trabajo acá y tenemos su familia allí, pues, imagino.
The officers discover that the young men from Colombia were actually living in Chile illegally, and that explains why they were trying to enter their country without going through the immigration checkpoint. But now, they need to find out what happened with the third man who was traveling with them.
¿Dónde está la otra persona que trataba de salir con usted? Bueno, no me digas eso porque las cámaras usaron y venían 3 personas. ¿Dónde está la otra persona? ¿Salió corriendo? No, en serio, éramos otros 2. Si venía otra persona, no anda con nosotros. Ya. Vamos a trasladarlo en este minuto hasta dependencia del Departamento de Extranjería y Policía Internacional, quienes van a adoptar el procedimiento que corresponda con usted. ¿Ya? El intento, en este caso, de evadir un control migratorio en forma ilegal. ¿Ya? Estamos ilegal prácticamente.
The 2 young men have been arrested and will be brought before a court of law. But for the police officers, the mission is not over.
Está más o menos a la altura casi del aeropuerto. Ahí está escondido, en el montículo de tierra.
Ya, vemos por la misma línea. Ya, señor.
In total darkness, the police officers move about blindly. They realize they are nearing a very dangerous area.
Es el sector de la quebrada de Escritos, campo minado.
In the 1970s, as a defensive border strategy, thousands of anti-tank and anti-personnel mines were planted all around this area.
Estas personas, con su afán de querer eludir los controles migratorios, arriesgan su vida atravesando estos campos minados.
Se asoma y se esconde. Asoma más que nada su cabeza, ¿no?
Sí, porque me ve, porque yo me voy acercando para allá.
Está corriendo ahora más rápido, un poquito más rápido. Está medio desorientado, ahora se está asomando de nuevo hacia arriba. Ahí se olvidó esconder en un montículo.
The officers are getting close, but they must hurry. The area the man is entering is a minefield, and they must catch him before he goes any further.
El tipo se está moviendo en un montículo más. Adelante tú, deben ser unos 50 metros. Cuidado con las minas, el campo minado por ahí. Ya, ahí para allá se metió el tipo. Y ahí nosotros ya le perdimos la visual.
Despite their efforts, the officers do not manage to catch the fugitive. The individual has ventured into the minefield, so the police decide to abandon their search.
Después de 2 horas, hemos determinado no continuar con su búsqueda por un tema de seguridad tanto para nuestro personal como para la misma persona.
The patrol returns to the border complex. One of the subjects managed to escape, but has paid the high price of putting his very life at risk in the minefield. Nevertheless, for the officers, this was a successful day. Thanks to technology, they were able to detain 2 men and prevent them from leaving the country illegally. These are the Latin American hot borders. Colombia, Medellin, José María Córdoba International Airport. Just when an internal flight whose final destination was the city of Bogotá was about to board, The customs agents in charge of the carry-on security check request the intervention of the airport police after identifying some suspicious content in a passenger's backpack. The owner, a nun, takes out 2 packages containing a large sum of money in cash.
Es que se van juntando, son personas donantes que nos van dando el dinero, que es una forma de ahorro, ¿no?
The officers are not entirely convinced about the money's legal origin, and they suspect the woman may have disguised herself as a nun to hide something else.
A nivel internacional, si supera los $10,000, sí debe declararlos a la autoridad aduanera.
Now customs must count the money. If it's more than $10,000, the sister will be in trouble.
$10,000 en efectivo. Podrá continuar con su destino.
Finally, they manage to confirm in their database that the woman really is a nun, and since the money she is carrying does not exceed the legal limit, she is allowed to continue on her journey to Bogotá.
Muchísimas gracias, señora.
The border between Chile and Bolivia. Colchane Border Complex. The Colchane border post is one of the most conflict-ridden border crossings in the north of the country. A huge number of buses come through here every day, and the civilian police is tasked with making sure that no one crosses the border illegally. When a bus full of passengers arrives, the passengers must get off the bus and go through the immigration control. Officers look for certain profiles among the people waiting in the immigration line, and they carry out various checks while people wait their turn.
Buenas tardes. ¿Hacia dónde vas? A Iquique. ¿Qué vas a hacer en
A Peruvian citizen is approached for routine questioning.
Paseo. ¿A dónde piensas pasear? Primera vez que vas a Iquique. ¿Cuánto dinero traes para vacacionar?
Whether the authorities' presence has made him nervous or his answers are simply not sincere, the man's responses are somewhat vague, and he only confirms his answers when the officer conveniently guides him through them, which makes the officer suspicious.
¿Estudias en Bolivia? ¿A qué te dedicas? ¿Chofer? ¿Chofer de qué? ¿De camiones? ¿De qué? ¿De camión? Me vas a acompañar ya a hacer un examen allá, ¿ya? ¿Ese es el único equipaje que traes? ¿Sí? Ya. Tu equipaje, por favor, acá, ¿ya? Que igual va a ser revisado.
An X-ray scan will help determine whether the young man is carrying any sort of substance on him or inside his body, and it will easily reveal any possible irregularity.
No te asustes, ¿ya? Negativo.
While the officers inspect his belongings, a striking detail puts the officer on alert. The clothes the young man is carrying are all damp, which is a trick often used by transport drugs such as cocaine. Smugglers dilute the substance in water and let the garments soak in the resulting liquid so that they can recover the drug once the garments arrive at their destination. Then, all they have to do is soak the garments in water once again to dissolve the drug and then filter it using a chemical product. Is this why his clothes are damp? These are the Latin American hot borders. The border between Chile and Bolivia. Colchane Border Complex. In a routine control, the country's Immigration Control Service has detected a young man who seems suspicious.
Me vas a acompañar ya a hacer un examen allá, ¿ya?
Upon inspecting his luggage, they discover something that draws the officer's attention. The young man cannot hide his nerves. The officers grow increasingly suspicious and decide to run a test to clear up their doubts. The test results are negative. The officers have no more reason to detain him.
¿Tu cédula la llevas? ¿Te la pasaron? Ya.
And so the young man is free to continue on his journey to the city of Iquique. The Ecuador-Colombia border. This bridge sets the stage for the constant flow of people and vehicles that move between the two countries. And it's also the place where, day after day, some opportunists try to smuggle in small quantities of contraband. A motorcycle that has just crossed over from Ecuador and is loaded to the brim with packages draws the police officer's attention. The biker is bringing in some disposable plates and some boxes of oil, and he explains that these are supplies that he uses for his job selling food in Ipiales.
Hago viajes, me llaman y dicen, vea, necesito, por ejemplo, un pollito y uno, entonces le digo, yo tengo los platicos, hágame el gasto a mí, les llevo. De eso se vive acá, en frontera de que más se puede vivir.
Although the food vendor travels across the border fairly often to buy supplies, the fact that he has been stopped by the police is starting to make him nervous. He realizes that this time the packages he has brought back are bigger than usual. The vendor decides to find out what is causing the delay, and the officers have bad news for him.
Espera un momentico, llega la camioneta y ya lo llevan al Popular para que le hagan la aprehensión de la mercancía.
No, porque, patrón, estoy trabajando. Eso, ahí tengo las
facturas. La declaración de importación de toda la mercancía que lleva.
Pero es que esos son platos, eso no va a...
Qué pena.
Si quiero, puedo devolverlos. No. Por favor, hágame, ¿cómo van a hacer ese daño si con eso trabajo, patroncito? Yo lo entiendo, pero denme la posibilidad de devolver eso para que me devuelvan. Si yo me gano, vea, no es... Por favor.
Qué pena ahorita.
For the officers, the decision has been made. The man does not have the necessary paperwork, and all they can do now is wait for customs to confiscate the merchandise. Therefore, the man has no option but to resign himself to accept his fate.
No se puede quedarse uno quieto, morirse de hambre no se puede, ponerse a robar sería peor.
This time, his attempt to profit from lower prices in Ecuador has endangered his fragile economy, and he's about to lose everything he brought into the country. 5,000 disposable plastic plates and 3 boxes of oil in all. The officer understands that the food vendor has no idea what he was doing was smuggling, and even though this is small-scale contraband, for Colombia's tax agency it is very significant, because through actions such as this, the agency confiscates some $5 million worth of merchandise each year. The Colombia-Venezuela border. Cúcuta, Simón Bolívar Bridge. Every day, thousands of people travel across the Simón Bolívar Bridge, connecting the countries of Colombia and Venezuela. Faced with an unusual migratory phenomenon and an economic fragility that encourages illicit activity, customs agents must be more alert than ever in order to keep contrabandists in check. Amid the unstoppable flow of Venezuelan citizens crossing the border at the city of Cúcuta, a woman walking with her young son is detained when officials notice that both she and the child are carrying noticeably heavy tote bags. The look on the woman's face changes immediately, and she resigns herself to undergoing a customs inspection. The woman's intention was to cross the border into Colombia in order to buy food, and she begs the official to let her enter, but she soon realizes that there is no turning back. Inside their bags, they are carrying a large number of individual bottles of beer. So many bottles, in fact, that they cannot possibly be intended for personal use. A fact that betrays the woman's intention to smuggle in merchandise. The woman's look of devastation evinces the delicate situation people in Venezuela are going through, which is getting worse with every passing day, forcing many citizens to look for alternative means of making enough money to allow them to access food and basic supplies.
En este momento estoy ingresando de Venezuela con mercancía de procedencia extranjera que está totalmente prohibida para ingresar a Colombia. ¿sí? Viene en cantidad comercial inmediatamente. 40.
The officials understand the adverse reality the woman is dealing with and her efforts to try to support her family, but they have a problem with her using the child to try to smuggle in contraband alcohol without being detected, which serves to reveal a harsh reality.
Se evidencia que están utilizando a los menores para ingresar. La intención de ellos es pasar, vender y con lo que venden compran víveres y se devuelven.
The beer is confiscated and the woman is free to continue on her journey, although she will probably return to Venezuela given that she has no money and no products to sell. All of the cases showed on this program are real. The people involved are innocent until proven otherwise. Every day, millions of people cross borders trying to make a difference that will help them get by.
El equipo se está moviendo, adelante tú, deben ser unos 50 metros.
But the most important job is to stop drug trafficking. Money laundering.
De la recolección de donaciones.
The criminals take advantage of the pain and plight of people to do business.
¿Cómo van a hacer ese daño si con eso trabajo, patroncito?
Crime knows no borders, but security forces are there to stop it in its tracks. That's what happens at Latin American Hot Borders.